Good morning, everyone. Hey, Ryan Howe here with Small Business News. I decided to go live again today to cover this article from Inc.com that we're going to get into, but it was a great article that I've been sitting on for a minute because I was working on a video. Anyways, what I wanted to talk to everybody about was the importance of what this video actually covers because it gets into the underlying idea and cause of why the vast majority of people quit their jobs. And I would say it's in the 98 to 99th percentile of why people leave their jobs. And I talk with my clients about this consistently. Again, for those that don't know, I'm a business coach who works out of West Michigan, and I hope to earn your subscription today. So let's get into this here. Again, this is going to be from Inc.com. Why do employees really quit their jobs? It comes down to the same 8 words I often hear as an executive coach. And again, this is the business that I'm in. I'm a business coach that works with executive teams and leadership teams to help grow their businesses. So when I saw this, I was like, again, this is from Marcel Schwantz or Schwante, is not sure. I said, this cat gets it and nailed exactly the underlying cause. And again, for companies that understand this, they are able to better control. I want to say control. That's not the right word. They are better able to build processes and processes in a workplace that is specifically suited to help people stay and help them thrive. And they're able to make adjustments to help them. So anyways, let's get into this here. So employee turnover is a costly issue with estimates suggesting it can range from 90% to 200% of an employee's annual salary. I did a video on this, and what I talk with my clients about on average, again, for a fully trained employee to replace them, not just to bring a new body in, to have them fully trained, can be upwards of $30,000 for a, skill, basically for a brand new person, relatively new skill set, like in a bachelor's degree type job, or upwards for like senior management. I mean, you're in the hundreds of thousands of dollars in lost productivity and costs just to get that person back to there. So there's definitely a piece. Now, to make matters worse, research shows that employees plan to leave their that many employees plan to leave their current company within the next 12 months. We're getting inching closer back to great resignation and the great switcheroo happening again. The number of layoffs that we have shaken the employee the employee pool to the core. It really has. So folks are starting to look out for themselves again. Now, to get the wheels in motion, leaders at any level must consider their employees as business partners and engage their workforce in an entrepreneurial way. And this is where I talk with my clients about it. What are the reasons that people come into business and why do they want to work for you? And it's because they are taking control over their life in some way, shape, or form. And this is right here is the 8 words that this individual has heard over many times in those micromanaged environments where people just get fed up and quit one day. I want to take ownership of my work. And that idea that employees are able to have agency, again, is the phrase of the last few years, that they have agency over their lives and their work, is extremely important. And it needs to not just be a facade. It needs to be real. That your folks, they're able to manage, they know the work that needs to get done. They know what they're supposed to deliver. And too often, as I've mentioned in a few of my videos, managers get in the way of people being able to do their work because the managers don't have enough information. And it's because the managers have built processes that don't allow for information flow, which brings this whole spiraling issue to where folks end up just quitting because they're frustrated that they just can't come in and do their job. So let's get over some of the things that this individual recommends businesses should look at. And these are some that I absolutely recommend for my clients as well. Now, for example, think about whether your employees are granted access to the big picture and whether they are allowed to have a voice and to bring ideas to the table. Your staff, and this is for managers, this is for leaders, and as employees, you guys know this. You have really great ideas about how things might be better. And if you are not able to express those ideas up about improvements, that completely takes away any control you have over your work. And managers, it's that balance between like, hey, an employee comes to you with an idea. I've got this idea. I'd love to be able to do this. Where you need to be able to tell them like, hey, okay, I've got it. Let's talk about it more. Let's spend a little time on it. I can't just make this change because as managers, managers have to look at the second, third, and fourth order effects of any changes that they make. They can't just make changes on the spot for the most part. And that's one of the problems that they come into is managers and leaders. They'll go make those evaluations for the second and third order effects, down the line. And then they don't come back to whoever gave that idea and explain exactly where the issue is and any changes that they can make. Okay. So that's one of the things that we would definitely want to make sure we're keeping track of here. Now, again, the individual here saying, having coached senior leaders for 2 decades, I've figured out that giving employees ownership will lead to a high-performing culture. 100%. It's something I work with my clients all the time. So here's the strategy. So to empower man, I got to work on my talking today. All right, to empower employees to think and act like business owners, they need the freedom to make decisions, and leaders must be willing to let them. It often requires a fundamental shift in leadership style. And also it requires you to build processes that allow your people to be able to make decisions in real time. I can't overstate that. Hey, Ghetto Planet, what's happening? Thanks for joining. Now, this often requires, okay, we talked about that here, by learning to delegate authority, so you can delegate authority but not accountability. That's the big piece. By delegating authority and streamlining decision-making processes to support a flatter hierarchy, leaders can cultivate a culture where knowledge and leadership thrive at every level. Here's the 5 things. We want to cut down on our rules. Excessive policies and bureaucratic hurdles kill creativity and stifle innovation. Again, we go on a rule diet. It's very similar to where there is a push in currently, as we've got the new administration in going after regulation. It's a very similar idea where we want to look at our overall rule set and what can we actually eliminate to allow people just to be able to go out and do their best work. Like that's kind of what we want to be looking at here. So they say go on a rule diet to simplify processes and make room for entrepreneurial energy. And one of the things that you want to keep in mind if you decide to reduce your rule set is that the overall output that what the individuals are producing can't change. Like the level can't go down. So if you expect people to produce X product to Y level of quality, that can't change. Now, how they go about doing it, absolutely, I think it definitely want to leave that up to them. Next is going to be let them turn ideas into action. When team members shares an idea, especially one outside their job scope, help them connect with the right people to bring it to life. This is one of the things where you see that cross-functional collaboration. I know these are they're manager speak. I hate saying it, but it's the best way to describe it. Cross-functional collaboration, where you have an idea in your given job that that may have a direct correlation with someone else to help it be more effective. And we see this in some of the best run businesses where this idea has worked here. Let's see if we can apply it at another area, another section to make things better. So that's one of the things we definitely want to make sure that we're keeping an eye on there as well. But yeah, we want to empower people and we want to structure the company in a way that it's not empowering people. It's just, it's part of their job. If they have a good idea, that it's their responsibility to put that into action. Now, again, job as managers and leaders is to help them connect, coordinate, and put those ideas together. We're going to celebrate entrepreneurial thinking. I love this one. We recognize and reward employees who consistently offer impactful ideas, no matter how small. They've done this in almost all my organizations I've worked with. For those that aren't familiar with me, when I worked, when I was in the Air Force, a big part of what I did is I traveled around from different organizations, restructuring, helping them run more effectively and more efficiently. And when I was there, the idea was you want to celebrate even the first small, even those small questions that are those small ideas that people have. You want to be able to pop those up and say, hey, this is a great idea. Let's get little victories, those little W's. We want to be able to celebrate those. And that's really an important piece that I want you to just keep in mind is that. So we celebrate even those small changes that people are making, because if they've been in an environment where they have not been able to express ideas for a consistent time, and then you come in, they're going to be, a little bit, have a little trepidation about speaking up because they've been knocked down so many times. So what I want you to do is when you come in and you start celebrating this idea, you want to celebrate even the small ideas, because those small ideas build confidence for people to look at the larger ideas and then really start having an impact. Again, it's that snowball effect. We definitely want to have that here. So, all right. So, got a question here actually from the chat. Is it possible to begin business operations with only a domain name and without a registered LLC? Absolutely. You sure can. Again, a sole proprietorship is what you're talking about. And, again, depending on where you're at, it's got different names, but you just need a DBA and just understand you're organized as a sole proprietorship. You can look that up. Go check on Google. It'll tell you exactly what you need to do there. All right, so on our next spot here, 4, share the big picture. Now, this is one that I'm going to go with this here. This is one that I talk with my clients about all the time, and when we work in our strategic planning, is to have a good idea. You have to have a solid, crystal idea of where all this work that you're doing and where it's going, and fully understand the map, the process to get there. It's so very important that you have this. But it doesn't do you any good as a leadership team to be the only people that understand where you're going. You have to be able to express to the rest of the team about where all the work they're doing, how it builds on it, and where it is leading your team towards. So, Ghetto Planet. So yeah, sole proprietorship. It's a type of organization for your business. It's where you're a one person doing it. And a DBA is a doing business as. It's a legal document that you work with your local municipality at that allows you to register your name so you can sign checks that aren't just in your name, it's in your business name. So that's what I'm talking about there. But with that big picture, the idea that you want to have is make sure that everyone understands that so they can see where their work helps them align with the big picture. DBAs are absolutely free. There might be like a $5 to $15 charge because you register it with your local municipality. So I'd reach out to them to be able to do that, because you need a DBA in order for like your business accounts at your bank, stuff like that. That's why you get one. That's what LLCs really do. They allow you to have an entity that can have a name at a business or at a bank and other legal reasons. DBA, doing business as, offers you the same ability to do those same things. So that's what that's about. So doing business as, it's a legal document that you register with your local municipality. Like in my area, we register with the county for our DBAs. All right, but again, to go back to the big picture piece here, that's where I want you to just understand that if you don't know where you're going, it's really challenging as an employee to understand why it's important to spend time doing these things. So the more you can understand, the better you can see what you're doing. But also then to go back up to the spot we were talking about here, where we're saying, hey, entrepreneurial thinking and ideas. If you know where you're going, you can offer a better, more refined recommendations. If you don't know where you're going, then you have no idea where you're at. And then embrace open dialogue. One of my favorite things is just, an axiom when I work with companies is just say words. Just say words. It's okay. Hurt feelings happen all the time. But if you operate in an environment where you want people saying words, if your feelings get hurt, that's a you problem, because the people are simply just talking about what's going on in their experience. And if you want to take that personal, that's a you problem. That's something you can control. That doesn't mean that the people shouldn't be still free to be able to say what they want. Now, obviously, we want to make sure that we're saying things. If you want to say those things, I would recommend, obviously, we don't want to be jerks, because again, I don't work with jerks. But all that being said, that doesn't mean that you don't have an obligation to say things. I was talking with a client last couple of weeks, and there was discussions about within their group about how they are having these conversations, right? About not necessarily being open and honest with everyone. And by not sharing a critique on the way that somebody is managing their affairs, what they're doing is actively undermining that other person's ability to do their job. So we want open dialogue. It's feedback that is super important for what you do in your work. So definitely want to make sure you keep that towards the top of the list that you want to be able to get after. All right. So again, those are the top 5 things that this individual recommends. And I cannot overstate just how important it is for you as business owners, as for employees, to operate in an environment where you have control over aspects of your life, over aspects of your work. If you were able to foster that within your business, you are going to find that your turnover rate drops dramatically, because the biggest frustration that people have is that when they have things going on in their life and they're frustrated and they feel like they don't have control over their overarching business, that's when things tend to fall apart. Okay. So with that, again, links in the description, be sure to go check it out here. So I got one last question in here in the chat here. So if you get one for the county, will it, so it's not necessarily protecting your brand name per se. Yes, it does. That means nobody else can register with that brand name in your basically in your county. Like, that's really what it does. No one else can register with that DBA. If you really want to have that protection, you need to look at your LLC and go that route. Again, LLCs don't tend to be that expensive, but there's an entire which you can get, and I have most of my LLCs are this way. They are basically they are single entity LLC, which gives me the protections of that company, so no one else can come in and open up companies in the names that I have protected. But it also allows me just to report my taxes under me, so I can align everything instead of having to file multiple iterations of taxes every year for most of my companies. Like, I can bundle them all under one. So if you're really looking to protect the name LLC, and you want to have a single entity, again, depending where you're at, they're all different depending on the country that you're at. But within the United States and here in Michigan, where I'm at, I do a single entity LLCs for almost all my businesses for that protection. Yeah, exactly. So, and again, you've got your domain name, and at some point, as you build and you become more successful, you'll want to look at copywriting in order to do, basically, or trademarking your name. But that takes time, and the work that you did as far as securing your domain name, getting your DBA, and the longer that you work in that environment, the easier it is to make your case when you go to trademark. So that's where they're at. So, all right. Well, hey, that's all I have for today. Hopefully I earned your subscription today. If you want to learn more about how I help businesses grow faster than they ever thought possible, go check out summitbusinessguides.com. Take care, and I will see you next time.